Okay, so are you ready for this? We're
Yeah.
going deep on Adlerian psychology today.
Sounds good.
We've got articles and book chapters and even a full audiobook transcript you sent over.
Wow. Someone's been doing their homework.
Yeah, I clearly want to go way beyond just the basics here, right? Get to the core of how Adlerian psychology can actually help people live happier, more fulfilling lives.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, one of the most fascinating things about Adlerian psychology is how it kind of turns traditional psychology on its head. Like instead of focusing on the past, what Adlerians call etiology, it really emphasizes your current goals and what you're striving for, which is known as teleology. It's a complete shift in perspective.
Yeah, I definitely saw that etiology versus teleology thing popping up all over the place in what you sent over. But honestly, at first, when I saw that Adlerians basically toss out the whole idea of trauma, I was like, hold on a second, really?
Yeah, that's definitely a bold statement. It's natural to be a little skeptical. But think about it this way. It's not about denying that difficult things happen, or minimizing tough experiences. It's more about recognizing that we have the power to choose how those experiences shape us, or if they do at all.
Okay, so instead of saying, oh, I'm afraid of commitment because of this relationship I had years ago,
Mhm.
an Adlerian might ask,
They might ask, what purpose does this fear of commitment have in your life right now? Maybe it's protecting you from getting hurt again, or maybe it's giving you some sense of control in a world that feels kind of crazy. It's about understanding the goal behind the behavior, not just dwelling on the past cause.
Ozzy, so it's about shifting that focus from why to what for, and that can be powerful. Taking ownership of your present, even if your past has been difficult.
Exactly. It's about recognizing we're not defined by our past. We have the power to choose our own path and create the lives we want.
Okay, that leads perfectly into another core Adlerian idea that really stood out to me. The courage to be disliked. That sounds kind of, well, daunting, to be
Yeah.
honest, like something straight out of like a Stoic philosophy book.
It definitely challenges how we usually think about relationships and fitting in. We're all kind of wired to seek approval and avoid rejection. But Adlerians believe that always needing validation can actually stop us from being our true selves.
Yeah, and I remember that analogy from the audiobook. It compared people obsessed with being liked to rolling stones that wear down their rough edges just to fit in, but they end up losing their unique shape and identity.
It's such a powerful image, right? It shows how dangerous it is to sacrifice who we truly are just to be accepted. The courage to be disliked isn't about, like, being a jerk or intentionally making people mad. It's about having the confidence to be yourself, even if it means not everyone's going to love it.
So it's about putting your inner values above needing everyone to validate you. Makes sense, but easier said than done, right?
It takes practice, for sure, but the rewards are huge. When you free yourself from needing to please everyone, you open up space to follow your passions and live according to what you believe in.
And I feel like this ties into another Adlerian concept that I found really interesting, the pursuit of easy superiority.
Ah, yes. That gets to the core of how Adlerian psychology views motivation and behavior. We all want to feel competent and capable, but some people try to get that feeling of superiority through shortcuts rather than real effort.
Like those people who always need to be the center of attention, even if it means acting out or putting others down.
Exactly. They're looking for that sense of superiority without actually putting in the work to develop real skills or contribute something meaningful to the world.
It's like they're trying to prove they're worthy by being especially bad instead of actually showing their value.
Right. And this easy superiority thing often backfires. It leads to fleeting satisfaction and ultimately makes them feel even more inadequate.
Okay, so we've talked about the shift from etiology to teleology, the courage to be disliked, and the trap of chasing easy superiority.
Ugh.
Where does all this lead us? What's the end goal in Adlerian psychology?
Adler called it community feeling. It's a completely different way of thinking about where we fit in the world. It's about moving beyond just focusing on yourself and realizing we're all connected, understanding that our happiness and well-being are tied to the well-being of everyone around us.
So it's not just about individual self-improvement then.
Nope, not at all. Adler believed that real fulfillment comes from belonging, giving back to something bigger than yourself, and feeling like a valued part of the community.
That sounds amazing. But how do we actually bring this community feeling into our everyday lives?
It starts with changing how we think. Instead of always asking, what can I get? We start asking, what can I give?
Hmm?
Instead of just thinking about our own needs and wants, we look for ways to help others.
So finding meaning and purpose through our connections with others and what we contribute to the world.
Exactly. And when you shift your focus from me to us, something incredible happens. We start to see other people as comrades, not competitors.
That's a big change in perspective, especially nowadays when competition and comparison are everywhere.
And Adlerians would say that this whole I win, you lose mindset is really bad for us. It creates a world where everything feels scarce and scary, and we're constantly trying to prove ourselves and be better than everyone else.
So, how do we escape that competitive trap and embrace the idea of seeing others as partners, not rivals?
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that your success doesn't have to mean someone else fails, and that true fulfillment comes from collaborating and supporting each other, not tearing each other down. There's a great quote from one of the articles you sent that really sums this up. If two people want to live together on good terms, they must treat each other as equal personalities.
It's a good reminder that we all deserve respect and dignity, no matter our achievements or social status.
And when you approach your relationships with that mindset of equality and working together, it creates a more harmonious and fulfilling experience for everyone involved.
This all makes so much sense. But there's one more big idea from everything you sent over that I want to touch on before we finish this part of the deep dive.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It's the idea of life as a series of dancing moments, instead of this straight line towards some big goal in the future. It really challenges our usual ideas about success and happiness.
Ah, yes. This is one of the most freeing aspects of Adlerian psychology. It's about letting go of that grand narrative that tells us we need to achieve certain things or reach a certain point to finally be happy.
It's about shifting from that kinetic view of life, where you're always striving to get somewhere, to an inertial view, where you find joy and fulfillment in this very moment, in the actual act of living itself.
Imagine a dancer. They're not focused on hitting a specific spot on the stage. Their joy and expression come from the movement itself, from every step and gesture.
So instead of stressing about reaching the top of the mountain, we should be taking in each step along the way, enjoying the beauty and the challenges of the journey.
Exactly. It's about being fully present in each moment, experiencing life as it unfolds, rather than always chasing after some future ideal.
But that sounds really hard to actually do. How do we break free from that always striving mindset and actually embrace the present moment?
It definitely takes practice, but one of the most powerful tools is mindfulness, being able to pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It's about noticing the little details of your experience, the sights, sounds, and smells you might miss when you're on autopilot.
It's about slowing down and actually savoring the richness of this moment instead of rushing through life, always focused on what's next.
Exactly. And when we learn to do that, to be more mindful, we open ourselves up to more joy, gratitude, and connection with the world around us. We become more resilient when things are tough and less attached to specific outcomes.
You know, this reminds me of something you said before about accepting what we can't change and having the courage to change what we can. There's a strong link between that idea and living in the present moment, isn't there?
Absolutely. When we let go of needing to control everything, when we accept that some things are just outside our influence, we free ourselves from so much unnecessary stress and suffering. Then we can focus our energy on what we can influence our thoughts, feelings, and actions right now in this present moment.
And by doing that, we create a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Exactly. By embracing the present moment, you open yourself up to a whole world of possibilities that you might have missed if you were too busy chasing some distant goal. You become more open to new experiences, more connected to other people, and more appreciative of the simple joys of life.
This has been incredibly insightful already. We've covered so much ground, from etiology versus teleology to the courage to be disliked, from the trap of easy superiority to community feeling and living in the present moment. But it feels like we're just scratching the surface of this really rich and complex school of thought.
You're absolutely right. Adlerian psychology is a huge and nuanced field. There's always more to discover. But even in this short deep dive, we've touched on some of its most profound and transformative principles.
And I have a feeling there are a lot more aha moments waiting for us as we continue exploring Adlerian psychology.
Definitely, and I'm looking forward to sharing those with you. But for now, let's just take a moment to think about what we've learned so far. What really stands out to you? What feels the most meaningful? What's really striking me is how interconnected all these Adlerian concepts are. It's like they're pieces of a puzzle. And when you put them together, they reveal a whole new way of understanding life and our place in it.
I totally agree. And what's been especially eye-opening for me is how Adlerian psychology challenges our conventional ideas about success and happiness. Like this idea that contributing to the common good is actually the key to a more fulfilling life.
It's a radical idea, isn't it? We're so conditioned to think about success in terms of individual achievement. But Adler believed that true fulfillment comes from belonging, contributing, and feeling like a valued member of the community.
That makes a lot of sense, but I have to admit, I'm still wrestling with how we balance this focus on contributing to others with our own needs and desires. It seems like it could easily lead to self-sacrifice, putting everyone else's needs before our own.
It's a great question, and one that Adler addressed directly. He wasn't advocating for martyrdom or neglecting our own well-being. It's more about recognizing that our happiness is intertwined with the well-being of others. It's about understanding that when we contribute to the common good, we also contribute to our own sense of purpose and fulfillment.
So it's not about denying our own needs, it's about shifting our perspective to see how our well-being is connected to the well-being of the community.
Precisely. And there's a beautiful example in the audiobook you sent that illustrates this perfectly, the woman washing dishes after dinner. If she approaches the task with resentment, it becomes a chore, a burden. But if she sees it as an act of service, a way of contributing to her family's happiness and well-being, it becomes an expression of love and care.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective. It's about finding meaning and purpose in the everyday tasks that we often take for granted. But what if her family doesn't acknowledge your efforts? What if they just take it for granted? Doesn't that undermine the whole idea of contributing to the common good?
This is where another key Adlerian principle comes in: the separation of tasks. The woman has chosen to contribute by washing the dishes. How her family chooses to respond to that contribution is their task, not hers. She can't control their reaction, but she can control her own intentions and actions.
So it's about focusing on what we can control, our own efforts and intentions, and letting go of the need to control how others respond.
Exactly. And this principle of separating tasks is incredibly liberating. It frees us from the burden of needing external validation for our actions. We can choose to act in accordance with our values and our desire to contribute, regardless of how others may perceive us.
It's like that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. We can offer our contributions, but we can't force others to appreciate them or reciprocate in a certain way.
It's a beautiful analogy, and it highlights the importance of focusing on our own internal compass rather than seeking validation from external sources.
This all ties back to that concept of the courage to be disliked, doesn't it? It
Wow.
takes courage to contribute without expecting anything in return, knowing that our efforts may not always be recognized or appreciated.
Absolutely. It's about acting from a place of inner strength and authenticity rather than seeking approval or validation from others.
One thing that's been really thought-provoking for me is how Adlerian psychology defines work. It's not just about having a job or earning a paycheck. It's about any contribution to the common good.
That's one of the most empowering aspects of Adlerian thought. It expands our understanding of what it means to be a productive and contributing member of society. Work can be caring for our families, volunteering in our communities, pursuing creative endeavors, or simply being a good friend and neighbor.
It's about finding meaningful ways to use our talents and abilities to make a positive impact on the world around us, regardless of whether or not we're getting paid for it.
Precisely. And this broader definition of work has profound implications for how we view our purpose and our value. It reminds us that we all have something unique to offer the world simply by virtue of our existence.
This makes me think of the anecdote from the audiobook about the man who defined his worth solely through his job. When he retired, he lost his sense of purpose and felt adrift because he had placed all his value on that one aspect of his life.
It's a common trap, and one that Adlerian psychology helps us avoid. It reminds us that our true worth comes from our being, not our doing. We have inherent value as human beings, regardless of our achievements or accomplishments.
So it's about recognizing our inherent worth, regardless of our roles or our productivity. That's a very different message from what we often hear in our achievement-oriented culture.
It's a radical message, but one that is deeply liberating. When we recognize our inherent worth, we become free to contribute in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling without needing external validation or recognition.
This makes me think of those who find deep meaning and purpose in caring for others, like your grandfather, who requires constant care. Even though he may not be able to contribute in the traditional sense of doing, his very existence brings joy and meaning to those who love him.
That's a beautiful example. It reminds us that we all have value, regardless of our circumstances or abilities, and that even in our most vulnerable moments, we can still contribute to the common good simply by being present and connected to those around us.
It's a powerful reminder that contribution can take many forms, and that even the smallest acts of kindness and care can have a ripple effect on the world around us.
And that brings us back to the heart of Adlerian psychology, the belief that we are all interconnected and that our individual well-being is inseparable from the well-being of the community.
Okay, we've explored some really profound concepts today, from the separation of tasks to the broader definition of work and the recognition of our inherent worth. But I still have one nagging question about how we put all this into practice. You mentioned earlier that Adlerian psychology rejects the idea of praising or rebuking. But how do we offer feedback or guidance without resorting to those methods? It seems like praise and criticism are so ingrained in our culture, especially when it comes to raising children or working with others.
It's a great question, and you're right, those patterns of praise and criticism are deeply ingrained, but Adlerians believe that there's a more effective and empowering way to offer support and guidance.
Encouragement.
Encouragement. What does that look like in practice? How is it different from praise or criticism? It's about offering support and guidance from a place of equality and respect rather than judgment or authority. Imagine a child struggling to learn to ride a bike. Instead of praising their every wobble or criticizing their falls, we can encourage them by
By acknowledging their efforts and their persistence even when they face setbacks.
exactly. We can say things like, I can see how hard you're working, or it's great that you're not giving up even when it gets tough.
So it's about focusing on the process, not just the outcome. And it's about conveying our belief in their ability to learn and grow rather than making our approval conditional on their success.
Precisely. And this type of encouragement fosters intrinsic motivation, which means the child is driven by the joy of learning and the satisfaction of mastering a new skill, rather than the desire for external rewards or approval.
This makes me think of the whole gold star system that's so prevalent in education. It seems like it creates a culture of seeking external validation rather than finding joy in the learning process itself.
Adlerians would argue that it's far more effective and ultimately more fulfilling to cultivate a love of learning for its own sake rather than for the sake of getting a sticker or a good grade.
So it's about intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. And encouragement plays a key role in fostering that inner drive to learn and grow.
Exactly. When we feel supported and believed in, we're more likely to persevere through challenges and find joy in the process of expanding our skills and knowledge. We become more resilient and more confident in our ability to face whatever life throws our way.
This all makes so much sense. But I have to admit, some of these Adlerian concepts, like the idea of having unconditional confidence in others, seem a bit idealistic. What if we get hurt or taken advantage of?
Yeah,
How do we protect ourselves while still embracing this spirit of generosity and trust?
that's a valid concern. And it's important to remember that Adlerian psychology isn't about being naive or gullible. It's about approaching our relationships with a spirit of generosity and trust, while also setting healthy boundaries and recognizing that we can't control how others choose to act.
So it's not about being a doormat or letting people walk all over us.
Not at all. It's about recognizing that even if someone betrays our trust, it doesn't mean that we have to close ourselves off from the possibility of connection with others. It's about learning from our experiences, refining our boundaries, and continuing to approach our relationships with an open heart, even if we've been hurt in the past.
But how do we reconcile the idea of unconditional confidence with the reality that some people will inevitably let us down? It seems like those two things are at odds with each other.
It comes back to that powerful principle of separating tasks. We can choose to believe in others and approach our relationships with an open heart, but we can't control how they choose to act. Their choices are their responsibility, not ours.
So it's about releasing the need to control the outcome, to control how others behave. And it's about taking responsibility for our own choices, our own responses to the situations we encounter.
Exactly. We can only control our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And by focusing on what we can control, we become less susceptible to the whims and actions of others. We become more empowered to create the relationships and experiences that we desire, even in a world where we can't control everything that happens to us.
This is such a liberating concept. It's about taking ownership of our own happiness and well-being rather than placing it in the hands of others.
And in the process, we create a more resilient and fulfilling life. We become less reactive to external events and more empowered to create the relationships and experiences we desire.
This has been an incredible exploration of Adlerian psychology so far. We've covered so much ground: self-acceptance, confidence in others, contributing to the community, the importance of encouragement, and the power of separating tasks. It's like a roadmap to creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life, one where we feel connected to something larger than ourselves and empowered to make a positive impact on the world around us.
And we've also touched on some challenging concepts like the courage to be disliked and the pursuit of easy superiority. It's a reminder that personal growth requires courage and a willingness to challenge our assumptions about ourselves and the world.
And through this process of self-discovery and growth, we can unlock a deeper sense of purpose and connection.
And ultimately, that's what Adlerian psychology is all about, empowering us to live more fulfilling and meaningful lives, both for ourselves and for the community.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Adlerian psychology, there's one more fascinating idea from the source material I'd love to explore. It's about the life lie and how it can sabotage our happiness and prevent us from living authentically.
Ah, yes. The life lie is a powerful concept. It gets to the heart of the ways we deceive ourselves to avoid facing our life tasks and taking responsibility for our choices.
Can you give me an example? I'm having a little trouble picturing what this life lie actually looks like in
Uh.
practice.
Imagine someone who constantly complains about their job but never takes any steps to change their situation. They might say things like, I can't quit my job because I have a family to support, or there are no other jobs out there that would allow me to use my skills.
Ah, I see. Those are classic examples of the life lie. They're excuses we use to justify our inaction and avoid the discomfort of change. It's easier to complain and stay stuck than it is to face our fears and make a change, even if we're deeply unhappy.
Exactly. And the life lie can be incredibly insidious because it often operates on an unconscious level. We might not even realize we're telling ourselves these stories until we start to examine our beliefs and behaviors more closely.
So the life lie is a form of self-sabotage. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of complaining and unhappiness and prevents us from taking ownership of our lives and creating the change we desire.
Precisely. And breaking free from this cycle requires honesty, courage, and a willingness to challenge those deeply ingrained beliefs that are holding us back.
And how do we break free from this cycle of self-deception? Where do we even begin?
It starts with awareness. We need to identify the life lies we're telling ourselves and challenge their validity. We need to ask ourselves tough questions. Are these excuses really true? Or are they simply ways to avoid taking responsibility for our own happiness and well-being? What steps can I take to change my situation, even if it feels uncomfortable or risky?
This reminds me of the courage to be disliked concept. It takes courage to face our life lies and make the changes necessary to live more authentically.
You're absolutely right. It takes courage to confront those comfortable lies we've been telling ourselves and to step outside our comfort zones to create the lives we truly desire.
It also seems connected to the idea of separating tasks. We can't blame others for our unhappiness or our inaction. We need to take responsibility for our own lives and our own choices.
Precisely. We may not always be able to control our circumstances, but we can control our responses to them. And by taking ownership of our choices, we empower ourselves to create the life we desire, even in the face of challenges and setbacks.
This has been such an illuminating conversation. We've delved into the complexities of the life lie and how it can sabotage our happiness. We've also explored the interconnectedness of self-acceptance, confidence in others, and contribution to the community. And we've touched on the importance of encouragement, the power of separating tasks, and the courage to live authentically, even if it means facing disapproval from others. It's like a whole new way of seeing the world and our place in it.
It's been a truly enriching exploration, and I'm eager to continue our deep dive into Adlerian psychology in the next part, where we'll explore the concept of the guiding star and how it can illuminate our path to freedom and happiness.
As we've been going through all these different aspects of Adlerian psychology, it's really striking me that this isn't just some abstract theory. It's more like a practical philosophy for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
You're right on the mark there. Adlerian psychology isn't just about grasping concepts, it's about putting those concepts into practice and seeing how they can change our lives in real, concrete ways.
And one of the concepts that really speaks to that idea of taking action is the guiding star, right? This idea that we each have a unique purpose, a vision that can inspire and guide us throughout life.
Exactly. The guiding star acts like a compass, helping us stay on course even when life throws us curveballs. It's about having a clear sense of why we're here and what we want to contribute to the world.
So it's less about achieving fame or fortune and more about making a positive impact, using our own unique talents and abilities to make a difference in the lives of others.
Precisely. And for Adler, that guiding star is all about contributing to the common good. It's about looking beyond our own self-interest and finding ways to make the world a better place for everyone.
Okay, so it's not about personal gain or recognition. It's about using our gifts to serve something larger than ourselves. But how do we actually find our own unique guiding star? It sounds kind of mystical and abstract, like we need a guru or something to reveal it to us.
Yeah. It might sound mystical, but it's actually a very practical process of self-discovery. It starts with really getting to know ourselves, understanding our strengths, our values, and what truly brings us joy and a sense of purpose. What are we naturally drawn to? What activities make us feel energized and alive? What kind of impact do we want to have on the world? These are the kinds of questions that can help us uncover our guiding star.
So it's about tuning into our own inner compass, paying attention to what lights us up and what we feel called to do in the world.
Exactly. And once we begin to have a clearer vision of our guiding star, we can start looking for ways to align our actions with that vision. It might involve volunteering our time to a cause we believe in, pursuing a career that lets us use our talents to make a difference, or simply being more mindful of how we interact with others in our everyday lives.
I love that. It doesn't have to be some grand heroic gesture. It can be about finding small, meaningful ways to contribute to the common good in our day-to-day lives.
Exactly. Contributing to the common good doesn't have to be about saving the world. It can be about bringing more kindness, compassion, and beauty into our interactions with others.
This makes me think of all the artists, writers, and musicians who find their guiding star through creative expression. They may not be directly solving world problems, but they're enriching our lives with their art, offering beauty and inspiration that can uplift and connect us.
Absolutely. Art, music, and literature are all powerful ways to contribute to the common good. They can nourish our souls, expand our perspectives, and remind us of our shared humanity.
So whether it's through direct action or creative expression, it's all about finding ways to use our gift to make the world a more beautiful, compassionate, and inspiring place. And in doing so, we find our own sense of fulfillment and purpose.
Precisely. When we align our actions with our guiding star, we experience a deep sense of satisfaction and joy. Our lives take on a sense of meaning and direction, and we feel connected to something larger than ourselves. It's like we're tapping into a source of infinite energy and inspiration.
This whole concept is so inspiring. It reminds me that we all have the potential to make a positive impact, no matter how small our contributions may seem. But let's be realistic here. Life isn't always smooth sailing. We're going to face setbacks, disappointments, and moments where we feel lost or discouraged. What happens when we lose sight of our guiding star? How do we navigate those challenging times?
That's where the importance of courage comes in. It takes courage to live authentically, to choose freedom over the comfort of conformity, and to keep moving forward even when we face obstacles and setbacks.
So it's not about denying the difficulty or pretending that everything is always sunshine and roses. It's about developing the resilience to bounce back from adversity and the determination to stay true to ourselves and our vision, even when things get tough.
You got it. Adler believed that our capacity for courage and resilience actually grows as we face and overcome challenges. It's through those experiences of struggle and growth that we build our inner strength and develop the confidence to keep moving forward, even when we don't know what lies ahead.
So it's not about avoiding pain or trying to control every aspect of our lives. It's about embracing the messy, unpredictable nature of life and recognizing that those moments of struggle are actually opportunities for growth and transformation. It's like that saying, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Exactly. And those challenges we face along the way often lead us to unexpected discoveries and insights that we wouldn't have found otherwise. They help us refine our vision, deepen our compassion, and ultimately become more fully ourselves.
This makes me think of all the people who have faced immense adversity in their lives, those who have overcome serious illnesses, loss, or trauma, and emerged even stronger on the other side. They often speak about how those difficult experiences gave them a deeper appreciation for life, a greater sense of purpose, and a more profound connection to their own humanity and the humanity of others.
Those stories of resilience and transformation are incredibly inspiring. They remind us that even in the darkest of times, there is always the potential for growth, healing, and connection. And when we embrace those challenging experiences as opportunities for learning and growth, we not only transform our own lives, but we also inspire those around us to face their own challenges with courage and hope.
This deep dive into Adlerian psychology has been a truly eye-opening experience. We've explored so many profound concepts, from the courage to be disliked to the pursuit of easy superiority, from the importance of community feeling to the power of encouragement and the liberating practice of separating tasks. And we discovered the inspiring concept of the guiding star, that unique purpose that can illuminate our path to freedom, happiness, and a life filled with meaning and contribution.
It's been a privilege to share this journey with you, and I hope that our exploration of Adlerian psychology has sparked your own curiosity and inspired you to delve even deeper into these transformative ideas. Remember, this is just the beginning. There's a wealth of wisdom and insight waiting to be discovered in the world of Adlerian thought.
And as you go about your day, I encourage you to ask yourself this question. If you truly believed that you had the power to make a positive impact on the world, what would you do differently? What actions would you take? What choices would you make?
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, you have within you the power to create a more fulfilling and meaningful life, both for yourself and for the world around you.